Akihabara City in Tokyo is practically Weeb Disneyland. If you know what you're doing, though. If you don't, you'll end up lost in a grey forest of boring business buildings. So, how do you enjoy Akiba to its full potential? As a Tokyo resident and a man of culture, I will guide you to the highlights of this wondrous city. And before I do that, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more weeby tours like this one. Thank you! You can access Akiba Station from 3 train lines and 1 metro. The Yamanote Line, the Chuo-Sobu Line, the Keihin Tohoku Line, and the Hibiya Subway Line. The Yamanote Line is a great circle in the middle of Tokyo, connecting the dots of the most populated stations in Japan like Shibuya, Shinjuku, and Ikebukuro. The Chuo-Sobu Line connects the inland part of Tokyo and the Chiba Prefecture. Akiba is right here in the middle. The Keihin Tohoku Line is a horizontal line connecting Saitama and Kanagawa. Tokyo stations like Akiba is in its pathway. The Hibiya Line is a subway that runs in the eastern part of Tokyo. It's not a JR line, so the exits are different from the other 3 lines. Please watch this video to learn more about the confusing train systems in Tokyo. So, you've put your foot on Akiba Station, and now what do you do? Akiba Station has multiple exit gates, and this is why I mentioned you need to know what you're doing. It's understandable that the average person might want to go to the central exit gates, but the weeby stuff can be accessed from the electric town gates. In other words, choose the exit that sounds the weebiest. The guides to the exits are located above on the yellow signs, so find the sign to the electric town, walk accordingly, walk out of the gates, and here we are! Our first destination is right in front of the south exit, or the left-hand side from the gates. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Radio Kaikain! If Akiba is the capital of otaku culture, this building here is the White House. I mean, this 10-story building has everything weeby and beyond! Anime merchandise, check. Card games, check. Figurines, check. A whole wall with gacha machines, check. Dress-up dolls, check. And speaking of dress-up dolls, I found this hilarious guide on how to welcome your new doll. Look how excited this guy is! He's a professional, he's really dedicated to his part. Anyways, this building has the nichiest of nichiest weeb merchandise you can ever find. I mean, they have whole racks dedicated to a single character. I bet anyone can find their niche here. The 4th floor and the 6th floor are dedicated to figurines, and the 9th floor is dedicated to card games. And feel free to look around without spending your money. Window shopping is totally allowed in Tokyo. I mean, any cultured weeb can respect a nice display of figurines with fancy anime OPs playing in the background. Indeed. Right behind Radio Kaikain, we have Atre of Akiba Station. Atre is a department store franchise that usually has their buildings interconnected with their station buildings. Akiba's Atre is known for collaborating with many anime franchises, and each time they have a collab, they put up these beautiful artwork up on their walls. They actually change pretty frequently, so you might be lucky enough to encounter your favorite franchise characters as a 10-feet drawing in the middle of Akiba. In that case, look out for the pop-up stores in the buildings too. Once we pass Atre, we see Card Kingdom, a famous card game store. And next to that, Gamers, which is oddly a manga store. And Snickerdunk, which is another card game store. And now, we've reached it! This, my friends, is the main street of Akiba's Electric Town, which happens to be your main course of today's Weeby tour. Let's start looking around, shall we? Turn to the right, and we encounter this building. The second and third floor have the biggest maid cafes in the world, Maid. Moving on to the right, you see a whole block of electronic equipment stores. And on the left, you see the iconic crosswalk, the symbol of Akiba, which I will cross later on. Our next encounter is Game Panic, a game arcade. It mainly has crane games, rhythm games, and 3D fighting games. The next stop is right here at Lamatara. It's a secondhand store that sells anime, video game, VTuber, and idol merchandise. All around a great store to look around, but personally, I get a little claustrophobic in there. Our next destination is here, Big Crosswalk. This is one of the biggest electronic stores in Japan. Nothing really otaku about this store itself, but man, check this out! Their walls are covered with gacha machines. I'm sure I could waste my whole life savings here if I wanted to. Now this is a site truly exclusive to the Otaku Capital. Next up, we have VOLKS. This is a banger of a hobby shop, having nice merchandise of trending anime in its first 2 floors. They also have a floor for pop-up stores, collaborating with anime franchises and VTuber groups. The display of giant posters and cardboard cutouts is honestly really cool, worth checking out. However, this place's true strength is its display of figurines. Not only having multiple floors dedicated to it, they sell tools for building and modeling for people who make their own figurines. The whole 4th floor is dedicated to Gundam models too. If you're a fan of figurines, or if you just appreciate a nice museum full of beautiful 3D art, VOLKS is the place for you. Passing by these fine-looking ladies, next up we have the Taito Station, which is another game arcade, mostly containing crane games. And next to that we have Animate, the biggest name in Japan when it comes to otaku stuff. This store looks like one big building, except it's actually 2 buildings that are built really close to each other. The building on the left has anime, Vocaloid, and VTuber merchandise. The building on the right has comics, magazines, and voice actor photo albums. They are one of the few otaku stores that have a tax-free option, which is neat. Walk a little more, and we encounter another Lamtara. I find it weird that otaku shops have multiple stores within a really close range of each other. The same phenomenon happens in Ikebukuro too. Our next stop is this building. The 4th floor and the 8th floor have maid cafes. And on the 2nd and 3rd floor, we have Surugaya, a second-hand merchandise store. Like Lamtara, this franchise has its stores all over Akiba. This store in particular specializes in anime, military, and Gundam figurines. We pass by a Carl's Jr., of all places, and arrive at Liberty. This green-looking secondhand store also has its buildings all over Akiba. In the store they have anime figurines, pop idol merchandise, and Pokemon cards. I also found this rated 18 gacha. I wonder what's inside. Next up we have another Surugaya. This one has anime, car, and robot figurines. Walking a little more, we encounter this gacha shop. This small store has over 100 gacha machines crammed into it, top to bottom. I honestly wonder how they stay in business. And we end the tour of this side of the street with another Liberty. This particular store has anime, military, and train figurines. Now, let us continue our tour by crossing this iconic crossroad. This side of the street also has banger after banger of otaku stores. However, we're gonna start out with a controversial pick. Love Merci. To put it lightly, this is a fetish store. They sell for men and women, dolls, body pillows, cosplay, all that jazz. If you're a minor, don't go in there. Let's turn away and walk to our next destination, Gigo, formerly known as Giga. It's a game arcade with the usual crane game, rhythm game lineup. Next up, we have this blue-looking building, which is under construction at the time of filming. This is Sofmap. We saw another version of it next to Kaikain, but this particular store of Sofmap specializes in otaku. They have anime merchandise, video game wear, manga, CDs, and voice actor merchandise. The 4th and 5th floor are exclusive to adult content. Minors not allowed. Speaking of adult content, this building's basement floor has Melon Books, a store selling doujin manga, mostly of the hentai genre. Next, we encounter another Gigo with a number 3 on it. More of the same things. And then we have Mulan. Looks kind of familiar, right? Turns out these two franchises are the same, just named differently. Weird. Our next stop is at Comic Zin. This sharp-looking comic book store has 3 floors. The first one dedicated to the newest manga, the second has family-friendly doujin, and the 3rd floor has non-family-friendly doujin. I'm repeating myself, but minors, please don't go in there. Thank you. We walk a little more and we see another Sofmap. This building specializes in computers and gaming. Our next encounter is Trader, one of the biggest secondhand stores when it comes to Weeb merchandise. Their lineup includes anime figurines, video games, retro games, and DVD, Blu-ray. The 5th and 6th floor have rated 18 content. I also found this ridiculous looking elevator in the store. It was practically a jump scare. Next up, we have Retro Game Camp. This store sells old school Nintendo games and hardware, such as Game Boy, GBA, NES, SNES, and Nintendo 64. This place is indeed nostalgic overdrive. And on the other corner of this block, we have another Liberty. This one has anime merchandise and figurines. Here are some little things you might find useful on an Akiba tour. First, a little advice on how to get your favorite merchandise. Big official stores like Animate, Gamers, VOLKS, and a part of Sofmap only sell what's trending at that point in time. So, if you're looking for a merchandise of a particular character from your favorite anime that aired a while back, it's best to look for secondhand stores. like Lamtara, Liberty, and Schrader. Next, advice on how to avoid traffic. If you have a problem with large crowds, like myself, here are some things to consider. Merchandise stores in Akiba open around the 10 to 11 AM range. Every tourist has jet lag, and Japanese people work from early morning, so going early is one way to avoid crowds. Also, the population density is higher near the stations. So a place like Radio Kaikain will always be packed, and a place like VOLKS will be relatively unpopulated. For the final topic of this video, let's talk about maid cafes. That's what Akiba is famous for, right? You'll see maid cafe employees walking around in their outfits all over Akiba. You could follow them to their store, but my advice is not to do so. Not only because you can jump in somewhere sketchy, maid cafes have their own set of house rules and concepts, so there's a high likelihood of you ending up in some place you don't vibe with. My advice is to start out with maidreaming, and if you like it there, Google search your way into more niche genres of the maid cafe archetype. Don't go in a place blind. The maid cafe experience is quite the experience, as you can see here. So if you're open for it, go for it! Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. This is a very new channel, so I need all the support I can get. Akiba is a huge city, so I was only able to cover the main street today. I left out information about food, sweets, and activities besides shopping. So, if you guys are down for a part 2, please let me know. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Arigatou gozaimasu. I'm the Weeby Tour Guide, signing out. Heiwa!